Hey guys, Aaron from houseofhaha.com here, and with one of our on the road updates. And this is not a good one. I'm really kind of having a crap day now because of this, but I want to share it with you and I don't know, maybe get some advice or input what you guys think about this. So, we're in Vermont, and we're having a pretty amazing day. Spent the morning at Ben and Jerry's, driving through this beautiful state, and one thing I've been doing since we started this journey, which I should point at this point, we've driven now through 21 states. That's what Vermont marks, our 21st state. Over 21,000 miles we drive through this country, and I've been very diligent and observant about not speeding. It was one of the things Milton and I talked about when we started this thing, going, we can't speed, we need to make sure everything's, we don't get tickets and things like that. I use the cruise control religiously. Every place that we go, driving through the town, I make sure that if I'm actually going under the speed limit as much as possible, if not just at the speed limit as we travel. So today we're going through this town in Vermont, and apparently we didn't see two little going from a 50-mile-an-hour speed limit on the 100 south, and it switched down to a 35, because when you come into these small towns they want you to slow down, which we've done like every single time. Well, we ended up missing these, apparently the 35-mile-an-hour signs right before you get into the town. They were off of the sides in the bushes, and we got pulled over. We got pulled over in like a 30-yard stretch of area where it was 35 miles an hour. Now, mind you, I was on cruise control, but the officer, according to his Doppler radar, says I was going 51 miles an hour, which means I was 16 miles over the limit, according to him, and gave us a ticket for $158 and basically saying it's going to take 3 points off my driver's license. Now, I'm a person who doesn't get tickets. I've had a couple like speeding tickets in Phoenix when they had the radar speed trap set up. If you guys aren't familiar with that, where they have like cameras set up on the side of the road. Phoenix ended up getting rid of those because they were basically unconstitutional, and they weren't considered legal. So this guy gives the ticket, and we explain to him, like, he's like, here's when you need to show up and where you need to mail stuff. We tell him that we're not from here, that we're traveling full time around the country, that our car where we live right now, this is our home, that we have a mailing address in Northern California. And
He also admitted you were slowing down because when you saw that 35 speed limit, you were slowing down.
I saw the 35-mile speed limit. I saw it. I immediately began to slow down off of my cruise control that I was set at. It had to be at 50, at least at 50, if not lower than that.
I still don't know how he got you at 51 when you were never going 51.
I wasn't going 51, but the officer says what it is. So what are you gonna do? You can't argue with a cop. So we explained to him, like, we're not going to be here in Vermont again, and we're just traveling through here. We're promoting our business. We pointed the signs on the outside of our car that say we're camping across America. And basically what he told us to do, and this is the part I'm going to ask for you guys' input and see what you think about this. He told us on the feedback for this that we should put denied, which basically means saying that we didn't commit this crime. And then if I go to the Arizona MVD and I pull up my driving record showing that for the last 10 years I've had a clean record, that I'm not like a chronic speeder, that I'm not a bad driver and things like that, that he will go to the judge on whatever my court date is supposed to be, which will have to be via phone, and on my behalf he'll vouch for me because I'm going to send him a copy of my driving record from Arizona. Apparently Vermont doesn't have access to that. Other states would not have access to Vermont's internal, for their tickets and things like that. And that what he's willing to do is on my behalf to tell the judge not to take the points off my license. But the ticket's $158. Now, as you guys know, we've talked before, we're not living high on the hog here. We only have a very limited budget to travel around this country, to pay our insurance, to pay for our gas, to eat, things like that, to pay for our, the very few bills we have, like our cell phones. So, $158 is huge. And I asked him, like, well, if you do that, am I going to still have to pay the 158? And he says, yeah, you're going to have to pay something. That the judge might lower it down, he might bring it down there, but he said he'll talk my behalf just so I can get the points taken off my license. As far as I know, I've never had points taken off my license ever. I'm 40 years old. I've been driving since I was 19. This has not been a problem, for me. I'm not a bad driver. So when we read the paperwork further that comes along, with this stuff, it says if you put denied and the courts here find that you actually, did do it, which the officer's saying I'm speeding, he says I'm going to pay something regardless, just want my points taken off, that if I put that down there, they can charge me another $65, which means I'll be paying over $200 to Vermont for something. after following the advice of a police officer who told me to do this. I don't really know what to do. There's a part of me that just wants to pay the $158 just so I don't potentially have to pay another $65. That's a lot of money to us. That's a lot of t-shirts we have to sell, and things we got to sell on our website in order to cover that cost.
And he kept saying the points were only for Vermont, so I don't really understand that part.
Exactly, and I don't have a Vermont driver's license. I have an Arizona driver's license, which I've maintained. Arizona is one of the states that allows you to basically have where you don't actually have to live in the state to maintain your residency there, or you only have to be there a portion of the time. Our property, our belongings are stored in Arizona. We've maintained our registration and address, through that. We just have a mailing address in California at my family's home, because that's where we end up going back during the wintertime. So I don't really know what to do with this. I don't deal with law enforcement in this capacity. I don't break the law. I don't speed. I swear I have driven 21,000 miles around 21 states across this country, and I have been religious about watching that thing. I understand that because we drove back. After he talked to us, we drove back and go, I want to see these signs I missed. And sure enough, they were there. So
they were in the woods, and he also had another person pulled over before we could even turn around to go check out the signs.
That fast. We went up the street, turned back around to go back and look and see exactly what we missed, because I want to know. And he was already pulling somebody over, which implies to me this is a wicked speed trap in this spot. So I don't know if anybody has any suggestions. They say the minimum is like a $47 fine. The maximum is like almost a $1,200 fine that they want to charge you for this. I don't think I was driving 51 miles an hour.
How can we even prove that?
But how can I prove that and I say it? And he's supposedly doing me a favor by going to talk to the judge on my behalf. But the amount of hassle that we're going to have to go through to get a copy of our stuff from Arizona and then have to mail things back and forth. And I told him, I don't know where we're going to be at certain points. We don't have cell phone service constantly where we are to set up, to have this interview or this court date. And he says that could be up to 2 months from now.
And we have to find, I think your mom has to look for an envelope from them saying when your court date is. We won't even know when the court date is.
No. There's a part of me that just, to avoid the hassle of this, just wants to pay the $158, I guess essentially plead guilty on this, and then potentially have points taken off my driver's license, which means our insurance could go up from it. I don't even know what's going to happen if our insurance will go through American Family. The fact of me getting a ticket or whatever this is in Vermont, I don't even know. I was having such a great day. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be emotional about this stuff. It was me. It feels like, it's not the fact as much of the ticket, but when the advice he gave me is telling me, and then I'm reading stuff that's contradicting on here, and it feels like I'm getting tricked. It feels like it's not a very clear situation, the fact that he's telling me to mark, to deny this, to basically put not guilty on it, where I could potentially have him, get charged more money. I guess his goal is to try to not get points off our license, and ultimately in the day where our insurance doesn't go up, I just don't know. So, look, I don't got a lot of experience dealing with law enforcement or getting tickets. This is sort of a new thing to me. I'm very diligent about this stuff. This is our home. This is where we live. This is how we provide, advertising to promote our business for the community of artists that we work with. This is how we make this is where I live. I don't speed in this thing. I'm very diligent about this stuff.
I didn't see the signs either. There was a sign right there that said hidden driveways. I was looking for cars in the hidden driveways. There
was, as you go down, there's all these little signs. They're apparently all over Vermont. We've been seeing them more this part of the country. There's little hidden driveways or people's signs off the sides of the roads in this wooded areas. We're looking for those. And the fact that Melody didn't even see it too kind of validates even more the point that these things just, I don't know, they weren't very, we drove back and I guess you could see them, but they just weren't clear in between the other signs at that point. So, I don't know, I don't speed. I don't do this. I'm very careful about this. I have a lot of respect for trying to be safe on the road. I'm not going to endanger my family. I'm not going to, Melody or Grimlock or, the few possessions in the world we own. We wreck our car and ruin our stuff. My 2 laptops are gone. House of Haha might be over at that point because that's most of my stuff is stored on there. You know what I mean? That's how serious I take this. So
5 minutes afterwards, a truck came at us head on in the opposing, or in our lane from the opposite direction.
Going 45 miles an hour directly at us. Where were the cops then?
Well, they can't possibly know.
I'm not trying to just fucking rip on this cop or on law enforcement. That's not my bag I'm trying to put on this. Like, I was an EMT for many years. I know what it's like to be a public servant. I know what it's like to deal with high stress jobs and situations. I'm very sensitive and appreciative of that fact, but there's just something about this afterwards when he told us what to do with it, and he told us to, mark off denied and then call the judicial department out here and mail him a copy of my stuff. There's just something about it just don't feel right.
I don't even know if we can get a copy of your stuff online. I mean, your Arizona driver's license or driving record.
My Arizona driving record. And that's the only thing I've ever had in there is a couple of those like speed trap things that Phoenix has.
We were gonna call him and ask him these questions, but we don't have any service.
We have no bars. We have no bars out here. We're in a campground someplace out in Vermont in the national forest that we just found for the evening that we're going to set up camp for the night. And this is the thing, like he said, it's 2 months from now, but we're not going to be back in California. We're not going to be back in a like sort of a home situation where we have that sort of stability till like mid-October. And he says a court date could be 2 months from now, which is sometime in September. So this is why part of me just wants to go here, $158. I don't know what I'm going to do to finish the rest of my trip, but there's your money, Vermont. And then figure it out from there, because it's just the amount of hassle and time involved to try to do the stuff he's asking
Plus,
to.
He
Plus,
said
we could pay another $65 on top of that if I mark this off, and the judge is like, well, because he's like, I'm going to pay something, which means in my brain, because I'm like, am I going to pay the full 58? He says, well, you're going to pay something. There's
you'll be making 3 payments or so.
I'll be
like
making a few payments. Like, we can do a payment plan on this. But if I'm going to be paying something, that says to me I was guilty. I understand he's trying to help me lessen the charges to get my points off. But if I put denied on that, but I'm still going to be found guilty, that means the court could charge me another $65.
And he said that he didn't even know if it would work. So you're like...
I'm taking the word of this cop.
And we don't have any video of that or anything like...
No way in hell this time and age I'm going to bust my cell phone out while a cop standing beside my door. Not in the world we live in right now. I was super polite, super nice, apologetic, and not even getting a potential warning for this. And I have this weird feeling the fact he put 51 miles an hour, even though I know I was on cruise control. Melody watches my speed limit.
You weren't on cruise control. You had already started braking.
Oh, because before...
You couldn't... I just don't understand, unless the calibration of the car is off, how you could have possibly been going 51 miles per hour.
It was a 50-mile stretch before that I had cruise control. Then as soon as I saw that sign, I immediately started. I didn't even see the cop. Like, I didn't see him there. I saw a 35-mile spot sign. Oh, you need to slow down because you're coming into a town.
He turned the lights on before we passed him.
Yeah, as we're coming up, I saw the lights. I'm like, oh, there's an officer. Oh, he's pulling us over. But I mean, it happened in front of us, not behind us. But he's saying, he even openly said that I was slowing down,
yeah.
But he was like, no, 51. Which the fact that I'm over 50, that puts me at 16 miles an hour over the limit.
That's reckless driving in some areas.
It is. That's what I'm thinking. This doesn't feel right. So I like your advice. I like your input. And you guys out there who've dealt with this kind of stuff, maybe you've had tickets before, you've had the same advice given to you. I'd like to know, what do you think? I'm open to hearing some suggestions. Apparently I have 20 days to respond to the judicial system or the department out here in Vermont to basically submit this in and say I'm not going to, putting denied or not denied. So I have a small window of time. So I'm looking for advice, what you guys think, or any suggestions someone might have, or
if you are
any lawyers out there if you're a lawyer and you're looking to help a small business and some people who might be in a weird spot because you feel like look, this is obviously not a way to do this. Please, I could use something. I don't ask for this kind of stuff often. I don't get involved with this kind of stuff. So if anyone has any advice to help Melody and I in this situation, I'd very much love to hear it. Melody, you got anything else you want to add based on what's going on with this?
We could really use some extra money right now. So if anybody needs t-shirts, we've got some at houseofhaha.com. Or if you just want to get involved as a patron of House of Haha, as a travel sponsor, we've got a section on there. If you could just go to the website and search it. This is not a plea for money, but we could really use the help.
There's people out there who want, people like buying our t-shirts and things like that, and we do obviously make some money in our t-shirts. It's not, it's not a giant amount of money we're shoving in our pocket, but it's a small business that we're building up. And there's been people out there who look, I want to help out. I don't need 20 new shirts. I love your stuff, just don't want to buy a bunch of new mugs and t-shirts right now, but I'd love to give you some money. That's what we started our travel sponsorship. And people who've given to us, it's
I know you feel like you let them down when you get stuff like this that happens.
I do. When this happens and I got $158 when other people have been sponsoring our journey and telling us that we're inspiring them and that we're making a difference, I feel guilty. I feel guilty for that. That's what I feel bad about.
It was
So
an accident. I
I
love
just
you.
I don't make mistakes like this. I'm so careful about this. I'm a super safe driver.
It was a speed trap. They got us.
So if anyone's interested in helping with this financially in that way, we do have a travel sponsorship where people can make certain donations. We've had people who've given us stuff. We've got people traveling the country we've stayed at homes. They've given us food. Last night we had a wonderful spaghetti dinner in the woods from 2 different spots where some people in Buffalo donated basically the pasta and the noodles to us, and then beef that was donated to us from the Shag and Pit Barbecue in South Dakota. So we're not looking for handouts here. We have t-shirts we're selling. We have magnets like the Have a Reasonable Day magnet in our car that we just put up. Like, we want to give something in exchange for what we're doing. We're not looking for a handout. We're not asking, for like just, we're not doing this to just like not have to make money, for some people just to support us. But there is people who do want to be a part of what we're doing, who really get behind what we're doing, understand that, traveling around this country and, rather than just talking about wanting to live your life in a positive way and making a difference in the world, like, you just go do it. That's what we're doing. We want to make our lives an example to go, look, we're making ourselves happy by making our passions our profession and living this why not life. And if we do it, somebody else out there will find the passion to the things they love to do, and it'll inspire them to do it. That's what we're hoping to get from all this, that and to support, build our business we've been working on for 6 years, trying to build honestly and ethically, trying to help the artist community that we work with, all the other artists who contribute their artwork towards our t-shirts, because we're successful, they're successful, everybody wins. It's the whole point. A company who's based on not being evil and trying to make a world a better place. I went to some place like that today. It was called Ben & Jerry's. We went to the Ben & Jerry's plant here in like Vermont, where they started off the company, and the whole thing behind that is like they want to make ice cream, and they want to make the world a better place and make a profit at the same time, but like not trying to screw people over.
17 minutes.
So, all right, I've been talking too long. Guys, you get the point. If anybody has any advice about this, please feel free to submit it. If you're interested in helping support us as far as being a sponsor of our journey to help us get around the country, pay for gas, food, things like that, go to houseodd.com, click on our travel sponsor link. It lays everything out. There's literally 10
Buy
different
some
ways
stuff.
and pick some stuff up. So thank you for the time listening to me ramble. It's been a weird day. I'm going to go chill out now and just get back into my happy place. And remember that I had Ben & Jerry's ice cream earlier today and got to see another really cool company trying to change the world. So this is Aaron from houseofaha.com. Thanks for listening. Have a reasonable day.